Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. Today's video is another episode of my Get a Jump on Christmas series. Today I'm featuring Pink and Maine. They sent me some awesome dies and a stencil that I want to share with you. First, let's take a look at the Pink and Maine dies and stencil that I'm going to be using today. First up, let's take a look at the stencil. This is the Swirly stencil. It's 8.5 by 6.25. It features an A2 stencil of swirly peppermints that matches up with the die I'll show you next, and then has 3 large peppermint circles. So the next one I want to share with you is the peppermint cover die. This is an A2 cover. It cuts out the A2 rectangle, has the stitch lines on the outside, and then cuts out the peppermint swirls as well. This is the Holly Days die. This actually is great for die cut inlay, and all the pieces are separate and you glue them together. I have 3 no stamping cards to share with you today, so let's jump right into the card making. For this first card, I'm going to start with the stencil. So I'm going to use some Therm O Web Pixie spray. It's a light repositionable low tack adhesive. I'm going to spray it on the back, wait till it dries, and then I'm going to lay the stencil down with the Pixie spray behind it on top of an A2 white piece of cardstock. Just press down on that stencil to make sure that the Pixie spray keeps everything in place so that you don't have the stencil skip up on you. I'm going to be using some Simon Hurley Lunar paste in Bee Sting, and I have seen Simon do this on his YouTube channel where he takes an ink blender and actually applies the lunar paste that way over a stencil. And I love this technique. It is so much fun, and wait until you see the shine on these peppermint swirls. I think those look amazing. I don't think that color and shine can be beat. So I'm going to do the same technique with the smaller round peppermints as well. And then I'm just going to let this all dry. It doesn't take very long to dry, but I'm going to work on my sentiment while it's drying. So I'm going to use some Easy-Cut Adhesive, which is a thin double-sided adhesive sheet. I peel off the one protective layer, just kind of roll it back, and place an A2 piece of white cardstock on the adhesive, replace the protective liner so that I can trim off the excess with non-stick scissors. That protective liner just makes it easier to trim it without getting it stuck to your scissors. So I'm going to do the same exact thing with a piece of white fun foam. This is going to make the fun foam into a sticker that we can die cut. And this is just a really easy way if you have a fine sentiment or a detailed die to get it to adhere without having to worry about fussing around with a lot of little bits of glue or foam tape. So now I'm going to take these two, the white cardstock and the foam, and I'm going to first die cut the shadow layer of my holidays sentiment, and then I'm going to die cut the happy holidays, the words itself, out of the white cardstock and the white fun foam. The reason that I'm not just using the white fun foam on the vellum is because I wanted to match the white cardstock on my card. It's not a big deal at all. You don't have to do this, but I like to apply the white cardstock on top of the fun foam and then peel off the back protective layer of the fun foam and lay that down on my vellum shadow. This way, when I put it on my card, the white in the sentiment will match the white on the card as well. It's a little detail. It's just one of those things, right? You don't have to do it. I'm going to use some tape runner to adhere the dry panel now to my white background. I just trimmed it down a little bit, and then I popped up 2 of those peppermint swirls on a piece of foam square, and I found out where the sentiment is going to hit those peppermints if I lay it on top. Put a little bit of liquid glue underneath those 2 spots that I thought it would hit, and then adhered it together. For a little touch of holly, since it says Happy Holidays, I did cut out that whole image from the die in some glitter cardstock. And then I'm just using those pieces of holly tucked underneath those peppermint swirls for a little accent of green. For this next card, I'm going to use the peppermint cover die to create a tone-on-tone background that's going to be very subtle. So I cut it out of white cardstock, and I have a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to put tape runner behind the cover panel on just all the little swirls and a little bit on the corners, and then I'm going to lay that down onto the A2 piece of white cardstock that I have cut out. Now, again, I could just leave this as it is, and it still is a pretty subtle background of a tone-on-tone white peppermint swirl. I decided I wanted the whole surface to be even because I'm going to be working on top of it with the Happy Holidays die. So I did end up adhering the rest of those white swirls right inside the cover panel die. Now I'm going to cut out the Happy Holidays image with some of the same white cardstock, and then I am going to ink blend each of the pieces. So you can see the holly leaves are separate, so I am going to ink blend those in Mowed Lawn. The little berries are separate, so those I ink blended in Kitsch Flamingo. These three pieces are kind of the background for the holly and the berries, so I am ink blending those in Salvage Patina. So as you can tell, this is going to be kind of a fresh modern twist on colors rather than the traditional colors that we used in the last card. I like to mix it up when I am crafting because I just have more fun that way. So for the little stitched circle that goes around the little image that we're creating so far, I use the Kitsch Flamingo, and then for the little pinked edge circle, I'm using Salvage Patina. So just a couple of Distress Oxide inks. You could cut this out multiple times out of different colors of cardstock if you prefer to do that. Now I'm going to put a little tape runner behind the pinked edge. So we're going to go from the outside in now that we have it all inked up. And I'm going to place it right around the center of that peppermint swirl background. Next is the little stitched circle, so that goes right inside the pink circle. This part gets fun. This is like puzzle pieces. So put one of the blue pieces in, and then you have to figure out which holly goes next to it, because you don't want to put the second blue piece in and have it be too far apart from the other one, and then there's a space in between your holly and then the other holly won't fit. So go from one blue piece or one center piece to a holly, and then you can do the next centerpiece and then the next holly, and just work your way around either clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever makes sense to you when you're putting this little puzzle together. And the last little piece here has a little teeny tiny edge that goes underneath that holly bit there, so just make sure you have enough room for that. And then the little berries, it's kind of the same type of deal where I use the die to look at to figure out where each of them kind of goes. It'll look fine even if you don't get them in the exact right spot. You'll figure that out pretty easily. So then I cut the Happy Holidays itself out of some glitter cardstock, but I wanted the sentiment to be separated, so I am just snipping them apart and then just rounding the edges with some detail scissors. So there may just be a little part that you need to kind of curve yourself, like this part here that had a little bit of the other word attached to it. It's very simple to do, and then it gives you more options with your die cut as well. I'm going to adhere these with some Ultra Bond liquid adhesive, very strong, and they will adhere this nicely down to the background there. And then I'm going to use some Tonic Studios Nouveau Crystal drops on the berries themselves. I'm going to fill in each berry with kind of a significant amount. I didn't realize how much I used until I touched it later and almost smeared it. So definitely put that aside to dry if you do use as much dimension as I did. Last but not least, I'm going to use some of these silver embellishments on this card, and that is how easy it is to not use any stamping but still create a very cute card with lots of interest. On this last card, we're going for as quick and easy as possible. So I die cut the peppermint cover die out of white cardstock, and I am going to put some tape runner behind it and lay it down on some white cardstock. Same type of deal as before, but instead of layering white in white, I am going to layer pieces of peony cardstock from the stamp market into those die cut areas. Very easy to do. This is the easiest die cut inlay you'll ever do. Then I'm going to take this same type of sentiment with the white cardstock on top of white fun foam with the vellum shadow in the back, and I just placed the liquid glue behind where the white is, and then you won't see it at all. I'm going to use a couple of dots of liquid glue around the sentiment as well to lay down these little embellishments. And I'm sorry that I don't think these are available anymore. I got them free a while back, but I'll link to some other embellishments that Pink and Main had that would be just as cute on these cards. There's still plenty of time to get a jump on Christmas, so if you haven't seen the rest of my series, be sure to check it out over here. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Today's video, nope. Oh, I'll do that at the end. Yeah, never mind. Back it up. Does that sound nice? Well, that doesn't really sound nice. That's better. Okay, I don't even know what happened there.